Hi everyone, my name is Toni Lubinova. I'm from Bulgaria and I'm a youth worker, trainer, artist, and NVC practitioner. How I came to know NVC was actually quite some time ago in my teenage years as I came across this book about transforming conflicts. And to this day, I don't remember who the author was or what the book was about, but I remember I was sitting in the back of my parents' car driving somewhere, and I come across the concept of observations versus judgments and how we as people sometimes put labels on others. And I was very curious about it, so I started reading, and I discovered that it's called nonviolent communication. This concept that I only get a fraction of. And so I was curious about it, but as we were traveling and what any sensible teenager would do at the time, I forgot about it completely. And then I came across NVC later on as a friend of mine who's a trainer was hosting a training on nonviolent communication and how we can build better relationships with others. And so I was curious and I joined, and we got to practice quite a lot, and we were practicing this, so how to distinguish observations from judgments, how to connect to our needs and the feelings that come out of those needs that kind of show us what is behind them. And I found this concept very curious, that we all have feelings, right? But those feelings act as certain pointers towards these beautiful things that we have inside of us that are needs. And I got curious, and I remember I went to the bookstore and I came across this book of Marshall Rosenberg, which talked about the whole concept of nonviolent communication and what it is. Is it a method, a tool, or a way of being? And I found it curious of how can I incorporate this into my life. And I started attending more trainings by certified NVC trainers. I started seeing different ways of looking at NVC, as I find it different trainers in different nonviolent communication communities have a different approach to how they see nonviolent communication. Some use it to improve the educational system. Some talk about it as effective communication and how we can improve our relationships at the workplace. Some talk about it in a healing aspect, in psychology. Some talk about it as nonviolence for social change and what we can do to build healthier, stronger communities. And I find that NVC is all of that. And then when we first encounter NVC, we start thinking, okay, what is it that we can do? How do we put this into practice? And then it might be that we start seeing it as a tool, which is okay as we get to learn it and practice it, but then we do discover that there is more to it. So different trainers have a different way of approaching what the concept of nonviolent communication is. And in this training, I would like to give it to you not so much as a tool, but as a way of thinking in a needs-based way. In a way that we firstly connect to what we feel and what we need inside of us, and then we find a way to express it to the other person. And we find a way to express it, but then we also try and see the other person for who they are and what they need behind every action or word. So in essence, even in times of conflict, how do we see the other as a human being with beautiful needs as they are? This training came to be after me and Elena met during a Playfight circle that was hosted in Old Vechte Foundation here in Omen, where the training is going to be hosted. So we met during a seminar of Synchro Foundation where I was presenting another method that I've been developing in the context of NVC, which is nonviolent communication through puppet theater. And so I was presenting NVC, but then I met Elena and I attended one of her Playfight circles, and then I thought, wow, well, it's essentially the same thing, NVC and Playfight. One is a somatic way of the other. Because both are about identifying feelings and needs and being able to express them, and then also hear the feelings and needs of others and not judge them as they are, but see who they are behind everything they're saying or doing. And so it is that in this world of NVC, we go for that. We hear, of course, what people are saying or doing, but then we go a level deeper and we try and talk about feelings. And then we go a level deeper and we talk about needs. And how is it that when we have a certain need that is either met or unmet, in us it produces a feeling that acts as a pointer towards that need. So in essence, the needs are the leading force of everything that's going on. And that feeling, when it's produced, comes out in an action or a word. And in that essence, in this training, we go with the assumption that everything we do or say, we do to fulfill a need and to act on it based on whether it is met or not met. So this training we designed for people like you, youth workers, mentors, coaches, facilitators that are in a mediation position in your life currently. So maybe there's a conflict that you're not yet comfortable with and you don't know how to approach, whether it's with your colleagues or the young people you work with. And you're not quite sure where to begin. Or maybe you already have some idea and you want to shape it. Or maybe you're already familiar with NVC and you want to get to practice in a safe context. And I would say that we will get the chance to do all of those. And to get you started, we have prepared a couple of materials that you can find along with this video. One of them is a list of feelings and needs that you can refer to. So we'll be using that list throughout the training to refer to our feelings and needs and how we can name them. And this list is by no means extensive, so there might be others, but we've tried our best to give a comprehensive list. And then the other material that you will get is a list of definitions. So how are the main concepts of NVC and Playfight, and how do we understand them in the context of this training? In this training, we would like to approach the concept of nonviolent communication from the perspective of what can we do to improve the relationship to ourselves, the relationship to the others, but then also the relationship to our communities and the young people we serve and the local communities that they live in. So how can we improve the lives of others? And I've seen it countless times in my local community here that people learn about NVC and they start trying it out. And it's also very okay to be clumsy at it, as we're all very much learning and we're very much little kids in it, trying to find our way. And then they see the huge impact it has. And for me, one of the sentences that has stuck with me for all this time was this girl that attended one of my NVC workshops. And then she left a donation and she said, well, by supporting you, I support thousands of people. So this is what I would really like this training to be for all of you. A way to start a movement and a change and a healthier and stronger way of viewing your communities. And how can it be that we find what we have here, we go a level deeper in it, and then we take it back to our local communities and share it and spread it to create a society that is able to see people for who they are and connect and see that behind every little action or word, there is a human being with certain needs that are waiting to be uncovered. And then how can it be that we also learn to communicate our needs and what's going on inside of us? And I would also invite you to approach this training from the perspective of the beginner mindset. And it's also very natural that all of us are taught in a way that conflicts need to be resolved either by us retracting back and giving space for what is there, so compromising, or we go heads forward and we go into blaming and judgment. And that's very okay, and it's not wrong, it's just habitual. It's not natural either. So in this training, I would like to invite you to approach it from the perspective of, it might be that nonviolent communication does not seem natural to you at first. And this needs-based thinking is difficult, as sometimes we end up in situations where we really do not see what this person is about and what they are needing or feeling at the moment. But I invite you to just sit with it and try and discuss and enter situations where you can try it out and see if it clicks for you and what you can do about it. And then, of course, we'll be making lots of mistakes, and that is also very, very okay, as we are all learning. And saying that, I'm also very excited to learn from you and to find out what is it that drives you here. I'm very curious to meet all of you, and I'm very excited to get this training started. I feel it's a one-of-a-kind training, and I'm very happy that it's actually happening. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you, bringing your own ideas and your own situations from real-life contexts that you want to bring in it, and we take time to explore together, to talk, to meet. So good luck with exploring, and see you soon.